Hello there everybody, WhatCulture Wrestling's Adam Clear here, and oh boy, Jesus goddamn Christ, we've just watched WWE Super Showdown, the latest event to emanate from the great nation of Saudi Arabia, this time from the city of Jeddah, which might have been where it was last time, because they didn't tell us where it was, because they refused to acknowledge it, and, well, my word, my good God in heaven, did they give us the usual slices of Saudi show banter. This is what went down. We will take you through the card. We will tell you what happened on the off chance you just happened to miss this prestigious moment in wrestling history. And there was a pre-show, because there's always a pre-show, and we started here on the stream here at WhatCulture with the Usos and the Revival. There may have been a match before that, but we don't know, because we didn't really want to watch any of it. And that was, well, that was what it was, wasn't it? The Usos versus the Revival. There was a great tag team rivalry waiting to happen there, but we're not getting it, are we? Because they don't really care about either of those two teams, and we kind of actually thought, we heard in advance, that they might make a six-man tag out of this. They might put the Revival in Shane's corner and the Usos in Roman's corner. We might get something like that, but they didn't. We got a fairly by-the-numbers match in which, after about, I think, 6 or 7 minutes, the Usos managed to capture the victory, and both their lives go on as if nothing happened. And then we opened the show for real, and just like WrestleMania, what did we get? We got Seth Rollins in a Universal title match. Now, this match was, I don't want to say everything you would expect from Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin, but obviously Rollins got his ribs all taped up. He's not 100%, so you've got to consider the idea that Baron Corbin could win this at some point. And of course, no, he didn't, despite what we may have heard that one day they're going to look to put the title on Corbin, despite the fact we know that they gave him Money in the Bank a couple of years ago, so they do consider him that level of performer, until he made some regrettable comments backstage. No, not here. Rollins was able to get the roll-up after a bit of a referee distraction and retain the Universal title. But then, Phil, Brock Lesnar's here with his Money in the Bank contract, but not his Money in the Bank boombox thing, just his like regulation Money in the Bank contract. And we're like, here we go. He told Heyman, Friday, Paul, Friday. And this was Friday. He came out the ring. We thought he was going to cash in, and he did not, because Seth Rollins hit him in the dick. Because Paul Heyman went through the ropes and did this really, really bad feigned attempt at falling over, and Brock was like, oh, you fall over, Paul? And Seth was like, oh, distraction, dick punch, yeah. Then he wailed on him with a chair for what felt like minutes, and Brock had massive like contusions and lesions, and what's another word for a mark on you? Like a welts all over him after that. So for all people say Brock is not interested in wrestling and doesn't give a flip about anybody, you see it in Swearfield, didn't give a flip about anybody other than him, he took those chair shots, man. Jesus.
He looked bad afterwards. He was proper beaten up.
It was absolutely rank, yeah. So Seth Rollins retains Universal title, beats Baron Corbin. Brock Lesnar tries to cash in, but is beaten down by Seth Rollins with a chair. We go on, and we go on to an Intercontinental title match. No less, with Demon Finn Balor versus Andrade. Now, you don't need me to tell you that this was A, probably match of the night, and B, Demon Finn Balor didn't lose his winning streak in WWE tonight. There's not really a whole lot to go into this. They were really good together. Their chemistry is excellent in the ring, but it being Demon Finn Balor, he obviously picked up the win. I think they gave them over 10 minutes for this, which is really nice. I would love to see more of this feud, because they're just so good. Obviously, sadly no Zelina Vega in their corner, because that's not allowed. But we'll get to that in a little bit. And then, speaking of what's not allowed, you know what shouldn't be allowed, Phil?
What?
The amount Shane McMahon sweats, in my opinion, because we've got Shane versus Roman Reigns.
102 degrees at that point.
To be fair, Phil makes a good point here. They did keep showing us the temperature, like repeatedly throughout the broadcast. They were like, it's 90 degrees, but it feels like 102 in the arena. And while that is a nice graphic to get, it's very good. I mean, any sporting event, they would tell you that. It's relevant information. It did beg the question, why are you doing it then? Because that's clearly not the kind of temperature you're going to want to wrestle in. But yeah, again, as obvious as it was that Finn Balor would retain the Intercontinental title while dressed as the Demon, Shane McMahon's face paint was of a stickier, saltier variety, and he came down to the ring sweating more than I think I've sweated in my life. And that was to go down to the ring. That was just to do the ramp. So yeah, Roman came out, he's got this big dog graphic now, which we all popped our little tits off at. Drew was in Shane's corner, and I'll be honest, this match was actually pretty good. Like, the spots were good. Shane ducked and dived and weaved, and Drew kept doing these little interference spots, and Roman looked really good. It was Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon. It wasn't going to be Andrade versus Balor, for example. It was what it was, to quote Love Island, which I missed tonight. And yeah, as I predicted, go me, on WrestleCulture this week, one Claymore kick interference, Shane just flops over Roman, 1, 2, 3. Shane McMahon is now undefeated in the desert. He is 2-0.
Greatest in the world!
Best in the world! And I obviously was crowned best in the office as a result of predicting that. So, boo, yeah, but yay also. So, are they starting off on an Undertaker-esque streak of Shane McMahon being undefeated in the desert? Not for me to say, but I think maybe yes they are. So yes, Shane McMahon beat Roman Reigns. That's your takeaway from that. Shane McMahon beat Roman Reigns. Shane McMahon, the best wrestler in the world, beat Roman Reigns.
What's John Moxley saying right now?
John Moxley's sitting at home with his pants off right now, just masturbating into a pile of money, laughing hysterically, knowing that his poor, long-suffering girlfriend had to call that match, and his best friend had to get pinned in it. Anyway, Lucha House Party versus Lars Sullivan. Now, I would have said this was the most predictable match on the entire card. Lars chucks Lucha House Party around and then pins them, which is what we got. He did chuck them around, he did brutalise them, but the finish was not that. The finish was them just deciding to wail on him. Like, that's a heel move, isn't it? 3 of them ganging... I mean, I know he's bigger than they are, but like, 3 of them ganging up on Lars Sullivan is a heel move, and they all got disqualified as a result, which is... I mean, there's no really interesting booking decisions coming out of this show in any way, shape or form, but Lucha House Party, for the purposes of this match, turning heel on Lars Sullivan, getting themselves disqualified, and then him just beating them up afterwards anyway, was... I don't know. This match was not interesting, either in its development, its booking, or its execution, but coming out of it, at least they did something that we weren't expecting. We can give them that, if nothing else. And... oh, God, right. So, all these matches I've told you about thus far are 7 minutes, they're 8 minutes, they're 10 minutes, they're 11 minutes. They're not a whole lot of time. That's because they did reserve quite a considerable amount of time for a one Triple H versus Randy Orton, which was not only the longest match on the card...
25 minutes and 45 seconds.
...but longer than any 2 other matches on the card... combined.
Longer than the second and third most longest matches combined.
God, that's so good. Do you know what, genuinely, I've got the thing to my side, I genuinely think if I spent some time, you could put 4 matches together on this card, which still aren't as long as that. It's probably that long. But we didn't know this, because we were just, what were we on, like can 4 and 5 by that point, so it didn't really matter. Yeah, it was pretty good. The entrances were a cow's age. I don't know if they'd been factored in to the whole thing, but yep, there they were. They were there. Triple H came out on his bike again, which was really sad because he's got this big seat in the back of his bike for Stephanie McMahon, and of course she can't be there despite being one of the most important people in the company, so just on his lonesome. Randy's entrance was just Randy's entrance, by the by. The match was... I'll tell you what, I'll say this, the first couple of minutes they genuinely looked like they were trying to put together a really technical, clever match. There was a lot of like teases of finishes and loads of little like bait and switch moments, and then them getting in each other's face and them not quite being able to outdo the other one, so they had those little standoffs, and genuinely for the first couple of minutes, genuinely really good. I maintain that was quite entertaining for about 6 to 7 minutes, and then I can't even tell you what the rest of it was. It was just the same 3 sequences over and over with a couple of bits outside the ring, and then some this, that, and the other, and then Triple H is the bit where he goes to the pedigree by the ropes and Randy chucks him over, the same spot he's doing in every match at the minute, and it's just... like, I'm glad Triple H got pinned, because he got beaten this match, that's a spoiler for this bit. I'm glad he finally let somebody else win a match, and I'm glad that it was somebody who is a full-time member of the roster. I am glad of that, but I also wish, and whisper this, I wish he would stop doing matches. I wish he would just not do them anymore. And that's going to be a recurring theme in this video in about 3 or 4 minutes time. So yes, bottom line here, Randy Orton, the full-time member of the roster, defeated Triple H, the part-time member of the roster. Logic and common sense booking prevails, even if I cannot account for those 25 minutes of my life. If I hadn't known it was 25 minutes, you'd ask me, I would have said 10. So that tells you everything you know about that match. But afterwards, oh God, we got the thrilling conclusion to the arm wrestling sequence we've been getting on Raw at the minute. Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. What even happened in this match? They just Braun did the bit where he ran around the ring loads, and they both just did shoulder tackles for like 20 minutes. And then, how long was this one?
8 minutes.
8 minutes! How was this 8 minutes? Jesus Christ. Again, I know it was hot. I know it was hot, and you don't want to give all your best bits away on Saudi shows because they're just pure banter, but... Yeah, Braun Strowman, as you might expect. I don't know what we're doing this video. Like, pretty much every single result went exactly the way everyone's going to think it went, right? Like, it's just... Like, the first one they did, they put, like, 94 titles on the line, and everybody retained. So at least this time they didn't do the whole title gimmick, but yeah, just Braun beat Bobby, and they're going to do this match again. They're going to do all these matches again, which we learned from the fallout of this, so... Yes, one of the other matches they are going to do, definitely after this, is Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler, which, I will say, quite a good match. Yeah, they're very good. Very good in-ring workers. They were always going to put something together. Xavier Woods was the X-Factor at ringside with his little trombone. Dolph gets a lot of stick. We're bored of him. His character's dead ass. Like, we just don't care about him, but you forget he is good. He sells really well, and it's not a bad thing having him in these matches occasionally. And Kofi, who has been wrestling, you know, your Bryans and all these technical wrestlers for a while, it was fun getting to see two people just basically bounce around the ring. It was really exciting. Obviously, the result went the way you expect. Kofi Kingston beat Dolph Ziggler, but again, he cheated. Kofi cheated in this match. Xavier Woods kicked Dolph in the face, and then Kofi hit him with a Trouble in Paradise. So that is the face cheating to win. Again, the same as Lucha House Party. I mean, nobody's bothered, but that does give Dolph a reason to ask for a rematch, and thus they're getting a cage match, I think it is, at Stomping Ground. I took my shoes off because it was too hot in here. Yeah, I overall quite liked this match. I still think Balor versus Andrade was match of the night, but this was perfectly watchable. I quite enjoyed it. Then... Dear God, how do you recount the unaccountable? How do you define the undefinable? How do you talk about 50-man battle royal in 1 minute? I don't know if I can. It was just washing machine full of wrestlers, wasn't it? Why? What on earth? Don't get me wrong, like, I am glad this wasn't a Royal Rumble, because with 50 men, even if they came out one every minute, that's like an extra hour on the show nearly. I am very glad this was mercifully short for a 50-man match. How long was this?
We don't have a time.
We haven't got time for this yet.
Yeah,
I don't think too long.
Yeah. Like
didn't feel too long. Loads of people got eliminated very quickly, but we had the actual lineup for it there was no big surprises. We'd heard Hulk Hogan might be in it. We'd heard Kurt. We'd heard Mark Henry. We had heard Chris Jericho. Didn't just make that up for last-minute rumours, I swear. And there was nobody of any real interest. No exciting presences in this, but. Quite interesting who they chose to give entrances to, I thought. The Miz got one, Cesaro got one, Samoa Joe got one, and one other person got one whose name currently escapes me.
Elias got one.
Elias got one.
He got his little thing.
Nakamura didn't get one, which I thought was weird. Ali didn't get one, which I thought meant he was going to win, but then he got eliminated. There was just loads of people who just... These battle royals are grim because it smacks so much of we have signed too many wrestlers by accident and they must all go on these big shows, and that's just how it was. There was a couple of nice spots. There was a great bit with War Musha, Viking, Raider Experience, Heavy Machinery, and Authors of Pain, where all three of those tag teams face off. I would love to see a proper tag team division with those three in it, having an actual rivalry. Like, if you think about, like, the old classic Hardys, Edge and Christian Dudley's thing, they were all teams that like to do the same sort of extreme stuff with weapons. Think about those two being the same kind of teams that like to do we're big lad spots. That would be really nice to watch. But of course they won't build a tag team division, will they? So we'll never get that. Everybody else kind of went out without much fanfare. There was a whimper. Phil bet me the title it was going to be The Miz, and how did that work out for you, pal?
Yeah,
not very well, I might add. And then we got down to the last two, which was Elias and Mansoor.
Indeed.
Who is the Saudi Arabian NXT star, who was literally from the city of Jeddah. He's had a couple of matches, don't know if they've been televised, but he has had a couple of matches in NXT. And in what was legitimately the only positive thing to take away from this show, in any respect, he won, and it was a great hometown pop. So for all the normal people who live in Jeddah, who live in Saudi Arabia, who went to this show because they just love wrestling and they're really buzzed that this huge event is in their city, for them, that was a massive... You could see what it meant to, like, so many people in the crowd, that. And doesn't make these shows worth it. Doesn't make them okay. But you know, at least the people who are attending them, who are completely innocent in all of these other horrible things, at least they got a nice moment out of it all. And it was a nice moment, so fair play to him. Mansoor, your most prestigious ever Battle Royal winner, I think they were trying to bill him as. And that takes us to... Oh my god, it takes us to the main event. I'm sorry if these annoy you, but unfortunately, the star power from that match, Phil, has blinded me so I must shield my eyes from talking about it.
Shall we just not talk about it at all?
No, we have to a little bit. Undertaker versus Goldberg, and I'll give you the baseline with this. Undertaker won, which is nice because obviously he's had to put other people over in these other big star legend matches he's done recently, and I guess Goldberg isn't hurt by a loss to the Undertaker, and that is the extent of this match I can talk about, like, objectively as a wrestling product. Phil, just come in for a second.
Okay.
That's the extent of this I can talk about as a wrestling product. What we actually got was how long was the entrances, please?
The entrances were 11 minutes 40.
The entrances were 11 minutes 40, about 4.5 minutes for Goldberg, about 7 minutes for the Undertaker. The match was not as long as that.
No, it was like 8.5.
The match was 8.5, 9 minutes long, and it was.
And a lot of that was stare downs and like the entrances.
Great start.
Beginning, like,
great start. Goldberg starts with 2 spears. We're excited.
Hot start.
And then they do a spot.
It felt like it was going to go okay because they had the hot start and then Undertaker started doing all his shtick. He did the old school and stuff and it was all fine.
Then Goldberg charges Undertaker while he's in the corner. Undertaker moves. Goldberg does the whole into the ring post spot and then pisses blood.
He'd already started bleeding. No idea why. Like last time it was obvious because he headbutted the door. But now we have no idea. He had like a little cut. It was only a tiny little bit. It wasn't bad. On his way out.
But I mean, look, if you've not seen this yet, genuinely, I don't just mean he was cut. I mean, he was pissed. We're talking, like, not quite gold dust levels at Double or Nothing, but
more blood than we've seen in WWE in a long time.
Had the match gone on long enough, there's no reason he couldn't have bled out that much. And it was just horrible. From there, he was clearly shaking. His legs were wobbly. He wasn't really there. And we thought, like, oh, maybe he's just selling this really well and he'll build up to another spot, but... Oh wow, look, Siri's recording everything I say. That's cool. You've been really on it tonight, love. Right, so he does that. There's a couple of wobbly moments and we get to the finish.
Yeah.
Goldberg jackhammers the Undertaker and it is the most uncomfortable
Before
thing to
it happened,
watch.
we were like, oh, wonder how long he can keep him up for. Turns out
he just does a suplex.
No time at all.
And drops him.
He lifts him up and then brainbusters him in the worst possible way. Straight down on top of the Undertaker's head.
And then the
Undertaker kicks out.
God. And then they go immediately to the finish, which is obviously meant to be Goldberg picks Undertaker up for a tombstone, falls backwards, Undertaker picks him up.
Roll through.
Yeah, we've seen it before. It's a great finish for Undertaker matches. Goldberg picks him up and just fucking collapses. Just collapses. Yeah. And the Undertaker goes, right, well, I've got to finish this. Picks him up, does the weakest chokeslam I've ever seen.
Tries to chokeslam, just nothing there.
We are currently further off the ground than Goldberg off of that chokeslam, and that's...
And then pinned him off the chokeslam. They didn't even bother to redo the tombstone.
Nothing off that. We've not seen this yet.
1, 2, 3 from the chokeslam.
We've not seen this yet, but according to people on Twitter, Undertaker doesn't even hook his leg, and Goldberg offers his leg to be hooked, which just is so bad.
When was the last time we saw a match finish with a chokeslam as well? An Undertaker match of all things.
Not an Undertaker match, I can remember.
His third weakest finisher of all his finishes.
So bad, it's just so bad. And just... I supported the idea of them doing a Legends belt because I thought it would make these matches at least mean something and give you a reason to invest in them.
And it was the main event.
Yeah, and just no, like, you need to let these men who've given their bodies for professional wrestling, you need to let them fucking rest.
The Undertaker, like, normally after these matches, like, he does his whole shtick, he does his kneel down with his thing. Like, after this, he looked
so cross. He looked furious. Probably because he knew exactly how that match went. So overall, a really bad, probably one of WWE's worst ever main events. Yeah. Objectively one of their worst ever main events. At the end of a show that was just pure, pointless banter. Like, there's a few nice moments in it, but it was everything we've come to expect from these glorified PR campaigns. And
it's a big house show, but it was not a good.
I'm not going to get into it because we've done a big video on it already yesterday about the whole problems with these Saudi Arabia shows. But what I will say on this is, if you've watched that video and you're wondering why we're sat here doing more content on it, it's because this is the game. It's journalism. Like, I objectively have to report on how bad it is that they're committing atrocities in Yemen and that they bombed a school full of 40 children and that they executed 37 people for political protests.
If we didn't report on the event as a whole, we wouldn't get to say...
It's the full story.
The full story,
The full story is the show as well as it is all this horrible stuff, and I can't have a straight face and do these other stories without at least having seen the show. So hopefully you didn't watch it, but we had to, because it's our job. And hopefully we did help send a little bit of money to Sami for Syria as well. If you've not seen that, Sami Zayn is raising money for Syria. The reason he's not allowed on this show, by the way, because of his Syrian ancestry. So please do.
It's all going to Sam's USA. It's a thing that they build medical centers in Syria. Really, really good.
Really good. Please do go check this out.
SamiForSyria.com.
If you're watching this and you think, oh, I might check out that show, and you've got an hour spare, please don't. Just go and watch.
Go watch New Japan Dominion on Sunday. Go watch Defiant Loaded.
Yeah,
on Sunday.
go watch Double or Nothing. Go for a walk.
Double or Nothing. Yeah.
Text that girl you like. Ask if you can buy her an ice cream. That's always my advice when people don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Text her. Ask if you can buy her an ice cream. Or him. I don't know. 4% of our audience are women. So overall, that was Super Showdown. That is one of the weirdest things I've ever had to watch. But hey, we had a laugh, didn't we?
We did.
We had just two unproblematic friends having a bloody good laugh. And hopefully, if you joined us on the stream, you might have had a bit of a fun time too. Now, I'm conscious this video is probably about 20 minutes. Yeah. So yes, as ever, let us know what you made of it in the comments, or if you didn't watch it, let us know what you make of the whole situation in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching. I've been WhatCulture Wrestling Champion Adam Cleary. This has been Phil.
Not WhatCulture Wrestling Champion.
And we'll see you soon. Monday, because we're back in.
Yay! Go watch New Japan Dominion.
Yeah, just do anything else you like.
Bye.
I accidentally swore.